The Rockets, as it has been reported recently, do not want to move off of their young core. They have no intentions of doing so. And obviously that includes guys such as Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun, who have been the go-to guys for them over the past couple of years, but also young promising players like Jabari Smith Jr. and Amen Thompson, who have shown a lot of potential in their own right and being high picks as well. I think that this is a good move for the Houston Rockets because ultimately you brought in Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks to help mentor these guys, to help take them over to the next level and just share the experience with them. And Houston looked like a really solid team last year, especially down the stretch, where Jalen Green, for the last 2 weeks of the NBA season, he looked like the best player in the entire NBA. Now, Jalen Green had a really hot start to the NBA season. That has definitely slowed down now. He's down to 19 points, 39% from the field, and he's really just not been able to put it all together. And that has been the story of him his entire NBA career ultimately. But for the Houston Rockets, what else are you going to do but let him develop in real time at this point? Because now you've also invested money into him, but you've invested so much time into Jalen Green. And as a whole, Houston really doesn't have many high expectations for this season, or maybe even the season after that. They're a year away from being a year away, more than likely. And they're not going to be one of the worst teams in the league, but they're also not really fighting with the contenders. Absolutely not. So for Houston, I mentioned Jalen Green there, but just in general, there's no reason to be impatient because this roster as a whole, it's not constructed to win now. So you might as well sit and develop the young guys because you've got nothing to lose from seeing what they can do. Because a lot of these guys have high potential. Jalen Green has never been able to really tap into that, but he has all the talent in the world to be a top scorer in the league. Alperen Sengun is a great playmaking big. There were some calls for him to be an all-star last year. I think there were some people that might have got subbed over him, but there were calls for it. Jabari Smith Jr., top 3 pick. Amen Thompson, top 5 pick. They've shown a lot of flashes. Not necessarily put it all together. Jabari Smith, though, he looks like he can be, at minimum, a great role player. So he's got a huge floor there that can be valuable to any team. And Amen Thompson's already been a great defender for them. So with these young guys, you have a lot of talent and potential to go and develop. And whether that has happened or not, it's really a case-by-case basis because Alperen Sengun, he has gotten better each and every season. Jalen Green, not necessarily. And the jury's still out because we've seen less years of experience from Jabari Smith and especially Amen Thompson. So we're still waiting to see how they're truly going to progress. But in general, if these guys are all able to become solid to great contributing NBA players, you've got a great core 4 there. And ultimately, I think a lot of that does come down to Jalen Green. But ultimately, I don't know that you're going to find a higher upside player at that position because at his ceiling, Jalen Green can be a top shooting guard just for what he brings on the scoring end. And you can make an argument, like is made pretty frequently, that someone with his archetype, that's not really made to be the first option on a championship team. And I agree with that. But you've got someone else like Alperen Sengun who's able to take that creation load off of him because Jalen can be kind of one note if he is just a scorer. Alperen Sengun can take that playmaking off of him and do it himself. It's like when the Bulls had Alonzo a couple years ago. And yeah, Zach can't be the number 1 on a championship team most likely. But Alonzo's able to take that playmaking load off of him. And as a result, although it truly was Zach and Amar, you can make the catch for both of them. As a result, the Bulls looked like one of the best teams in the league to start that year until Alonzo got hurt. So Jalen Green, if you can take the facilitating load off of him and he becomes a better scorer, he in his own right can be a very valuable piece. So you've got an uber-talented core 4, and you're not going anywhere fast, and that's okay. You don't have to be impatient. You don't have to rush things because you don't have much to rush. You don't have a win-now roster. You have a roster that you're going to let sit and develop over time in-game. And that's what we're seeing from them, and that's what we're hearing from the front office as well. And that is absolutely the right move. Even if Jalen Green doesn't work out, you still got a very talented 3 there of Sengun, of Jabari Smith Jr., of Amen Thompson if they're able to all iron out their game and become even better players. That's a really talented young core Houston has. So to move off of that would be a mistake, especially with the way that the roster currently is. You want to stick with that young core. You don't want to fall into impatience because so often the grass is not greener. And you can move off of someone because you think you're going to get better, you're going to get improvements. But at the end of the day, you weren't really set up for success in the first place. And the Houston Rockets would make a mistake if they were to move off their young core. And it's absolutely good that they're not. I think there's a lot of talent there. It's just all about honing that talent, especially for a guy like Jalen Green. He's the one that I personally worry about the most out of that, just because of the way that we've seen. But like I was talking about with Kobe White, progression can very well be linear or not non-linear. It's not 2K. They're not just going to consistently get better each and every season. That's not always the case. Someone like Jalen Green, he could very well have a breakout season. I thought it could have been this year. It hasn't been. But with the level of scorer that he can be and the athleticism and the tools that he brings to the game, he has all the talent in the world to really have a breakout season and come into his own as a player. It's just a matter of being patient with it. And Houston has a great young core. It would be a mistake to move off of them, and the front office sees that too. This team is very talented, and a few years down the line, I could really see them being a great team led by this young core, whether it's 4 of them or 3 of them. Regardless, Houston has the talent to get it done. The Rockets are going to be a great team in the coming years, and they will not be blowing up their young core for current success. They're going to wait out the long game and not take a gamble that ultimately might not work out, and they're going to hone and develop these young guys and make them the best players possible, and they're going to do it together as a unit, and because so often chemistry can be a thing too. Players might not be good fits alongside each other, or they come into a new system, but these guys are getting a chance to play alongside each other already while they're developing. And as a result, they're going to have great chemistry on the court too. Houston has a great young core and a bright future in the coming years. And they are rightfully not moving away from it.